Thanks for tuning in to MOT Today. I'm Luis Acevedo. With me today we have Mick and James. How's it going, guys?
Going all right.
It's going great.
Right on, right on. So we got a lot to cover today. A lot. So we can start off with this bill that Mike DeWine said that he's going to sign. I don't know that he signed it yet, but it is pretty controversial, and it has to do with all of the shootings that have been taking place in schools. Some people love it, some people hate it. We'll talk about our opinions on this matter. But James, tell us what this bill is. Tell us what's going on with it, man.
Okay, so this bill is to let teachers be armed in the classrooms. As of right now, there's already a law, really, that a teacher would need the consent of the board plus 700 hours of training to bear arms in school.
Mm-hmm.
But under the new proposed bill, the teacher would need consent of the board and to meet certain training requirements, which are capped by the state at 24 hours, unless the board demands more.
Okay.
So it's a rewrite of a bill that's already out.
Gotcha. And this is going to be heading to Mike DeWine's desk soon?
They actually,
or do they need to pass it in the houses?
The Senate passed the bill on a 23-9 vote.
Okay.
It passed in the House 56 to 34. And it's just waiting on DeWine to sign it.
Oh, okay.
If he hasn't already.
Nice, nice. So what do you think about this, Mick? Or what do you think about this bill, James? We'll start off with you, since you're the one that picked this topic.
I believe that it is a good thing. Maybe a little bit more than 24 hours of training with a weapon.
Yeah, probably. Although you can get a lot of, the 24 hours, it's not like, it's an actual 24 hours. And you probably have to go take classes. And
yeah. That equal up to 24 hours.
Yeah.
So probably three 8-hour classes.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. So why do you think it's a good idea?
To tell you the truth, law enforcement over the past couple school shootings, they really haven't done much to protect the kids. Did you guys know that the person who stopped that school shooting down in Texas was not a non-duty officer?
Yeah, he was a border patrol agent who allegedly just got finished with a haircut, and he said, "Oh, I got to go get it." In the barber shop, dude or whatever gave him the gun. I don't know how
like
much.
His wife texted him because she was a teacher or something. Yeah.
Who knows?
He had skin in the game, so he was willing to sacrifice his life.
I'm going to keep saying allegedly.
Yeah. He had skin in the game allegedly, so he was willing to sacrifice his life. That's one of the arguments. And the teachers would have skin in the game too, so you would think that maybe they would be able to act more. I mean, everywhere else, there's been a bunch of shootings other places. Like last night, there was one, or earlier today in Philly. And so, it's not just schools, and there's guns everywhere else. So it's like schools are not going away. That's a reality. And so, we might as well. We don't need to have like armed guards walking around everywhere, but I mean, there should be some. I mean, the president has, Secret Service that protects him.
Yeah, but he's the commander in chief. He's commanding the military.
But he's
country.
He's acting like other people don't need protection, but he does.
Yeah, I get the hypocrisy there, but I don't like that argument when we talk about that with children either in schools, because they're not in the military. They're not in the government. The president has all the Secret Service and all the weapons around him because he's the head of the state.
Yeah.
He controls the military. So that makes logical sense.
Well, the schools also have to notify the parents if there is teachers in the school carrying. They do not have to say which teacher it is, but they do have to let the kids know, or the parents know.
And what happens if the parents don't like this? What happens if
take the kid out of school?
Yeah.
Is there a school of choice in Ohio, though? Is there a school of choice in Ohio? Or do you have to go in the school in which you reside in, the district you reside in?
Well, from what I can remember, there is something called open enrollment, where you can enroll in other schools that are in districts that are further away from your house.
Gotcha. Now, would you guys agree with the statement, as has become very popular these days, that school is sort of like a prison for children?
I would.
Public schools.
I wouldn't agree.
No.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I've been to jail before, and it's a lot better than that.
Of course. But I think what they're trying to say is that they put you in a subordinate position, and you have to ask them to go to the restroom. You have to spend most of your day in a classroom. you don't get much time outside. You get an hour outside, just like you get an hour outside in jail or in prison.
Oh yeah. There's definitely less freedoms. It's more structured than just kids running around the house and whatnot. But let's get back. Let's before we destroy schools.
So I had a point to make with this.
Okay.
I really did. So this ties into the gun thing. And I'm not just destroying schools. I actually am I'm against the bill, by the way. I'll just be totally transparent. And the reason I am is because why would you want to militarize a school?
Well, it's not militarized.
You are. It is a slow progression into a militarization of schools. You have to understand these things starts off very slow, and they're going to expand because people are already saying, why not? Some people are already arguing for armed guards outside of the school, while people just need to become acceptable to the idea that teachers, some staff members can have a gun. And then once a little more mass shootings happen, false flag events happen, they will then say, all right, put armed guards outside of the school.
Yeah, I mean, they might, but so here's my thing. Like, if you're out and about with your kids, like, let's say you're going to a fair or just some, where there's a bunch of people, you might want to carry your weapon and protect your kids. So I don't see a problem with people carrying a weapon concealed to potentially protect the kids.
Yeah, anything that we could do.
And maybe they could even have some of the parents come in and volunteer their time to come do it once in a while. I don't know.
Well, when public schools are, they tend to be a den for groomers. I don't know that groomers should be allowed to have firearms, and we should defend.
Well, they're going to be out about doing it after school, regardless.
I know, so that's the point, though. Like, why even allow them? Why even allow them the possibility to be armed?
Because at some point we have to do better for our children.
It wouldn't do better for your children be not allow them in that public school system to begin with. My wife and I, we were talking about this earlier, and a lot of people say that well, I want to send my kids to school so they're socialized, or they can get prepared for the real world, or so that they can have a good real world experience with a bunch of students. But let me ask you guys this: were you taught how to do your taxes in school?
No.
Were you taught to do your taxes in school?
No.
Were you taught financial literacy in school?
I mean, there's a lot of things that need to be done.
Okay, right? Were you taught how to change a tire in school? Maybe there's an exception in that because you may have went to like an automotive class or something. But did you learn how to change your oil in school?
No, they definitely.
Did you learn how to take out a loan at the bank if you wanted to?
Yeah. The school is not doing well.
Did you learn how to apply for a job?
Actually, yes, I did.
Awesome, cool. That's a rarity.
Like a program.
They have. Like he was about to say, they have programs.
Yeah. Cool. Well, you guys see where I'm going for this. How does the school prepare you for the real world then? Yeah. If they don't show you these, does it teach you how to start a business?
Well, what it is teaching the kids, like you said, it's teaching them how to interact with other members of society. They are teaching them things that they can use down the road.
What's the last thing you've used from high school?
Math, all the time.
Fair. That's a really good answer. Yeah.
So,
that's the only thing, right?
You're saying you don't think people should have concealed weapons to protect the kids in case someone runs in there into a school. But
yeah, I'm against it.
If you're homeschooling and you take your kids on a field trip or something to the zoo,
totally different. I'm that kid's parent. I'm not.
Yeah, but there could be a shooting there, so wouldn't you want to have protection?
Totally different, though.
But what if you didn't have your gun on?
Well, it's not totally different.
Somebody else protected your kid?
Of course not. But that would be my responsibility, and so I don't think that's apple to apples. I think that's apple to oranges because those parents, those parents, those teachers, those staff members, yeah, they do have skin in the game, as in they're at the same school. But public schools are known, like, more abuse cases happens in public schools than any other institution that I'm aware of. So why would you want to weaponize a bunch of groups?
Well, society is already weaponized. So, like, you're saying you think people should have the right to protect your kids potentially in public if there was a situation that arises, but in public schools, those kids shouldn't have that same protection. Yes, because
most people who want to become a teacher, so there's a psychological profile of most people that want to be a teacher. There's a good portion of people who want to be in a position of authority because they never had power in their life. Yeah. So a good portion of those teachers, those principals, those administrative staff are there there because, whether they know it or not, they want authority over somebody else.
Yeah, but there are some good teachers.
Yeah, there are. There are. I'm not saying there isn't, but I'm saying there's a good portion of them that want to abuse that authority, that will abuse that authority. That's the only reason they're in that position.
Well, we've never had a problem with teachers or a principal or anything overstepping their bounds, trying to abuse their authority. We've never had an instance.
Yeah, so you guys are lucky, but there's millions of cases that are to the opposite of that, and they're like, everybody wants to criticize like the Catholic Church about the sexual abuse and the pedophilia that's in there, but it's actually more rampant in public school systems across the United States. Obviously, it's not going to be the same in every city, every district, every school. I know the high school I went to, the public school I went to, was a better off high school. It sounds like your children go to a pretty good public school, so obviously there are good schools, there are bad schools. All I'm saying is that there's a good portion of people in a lot of schools that will abuse their power, that have abused their power. And there's also becoming more and more psychos becoming teachers. The purple hairs, the pink hairs, those far leftists, those people are also wanting to become teachers. A big portion of them are becoming teachers. And a big portion of women are teachers. And women, unfortunately, are very susceptible to the programming that's taking place because their lack of male leadership we talked about many of times in these shows. And so I think it's just going to be a progressing issue, and public schools are going to continuously deteriorate. And you're going to have lesser quality people in the schools because they're going to be forced to go along with the medical tyranny that's also coming as well. That's something else that most people aren't talking about, whether it be enforcing children to wear a mask. That's evil, in my opinion. If any adult ever forces a child to wear a mask, that is evil. That is evil, evil, evil. You are covering up the face of God, in my opinion, because children are the closest things that we have to like God in this life, unless you're a very enlightened individual. And then also forcing children to be jabbed, although you do have religious and philosophical exemptions in the state of Ohio. So I just think overall it's a very wicked system, and I don't think that you should allow a wicked system to be weaponized. Obviously, there are good schools. There are good people in those schools. There are good teachers. I had good teachers. I can think of the teachers that I had that were good, had a good impact in my life. I'm sure you guys can too. But I'm talking on a macro level. I think this is a horrible idea because it's going to be a trickle across the nation, and we're going to eventually see more issues with teachers and students, shootings. We're going to see that across the nation, and that's going to allow for the push even harder against the Second Amendment. I think it's a slippery slope, and I think it's a horrible idea.
Well, as of right now, 18 states actually allow staff members who are approved by the board to carry weapons. I'm not quite sure which 18 states those are, but the way I feel about it, if it adds a little bit more protection for our children, that's a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely could prevent this. There is no reason why they cannot prevent this. We have the resources, we have the tools, and if all of society is already pretty much weaponized, like, people are carrying guns everywhere, it doesn't make sense to not have that same thing in school.
Yeah.
What's the difference? It just makes it a target. Like, it does not make sense. If everywhere else in society there's guns, why in school shouldn't they? In fact, they should be teaching children that guns are a tool, not a toy.
Exactly, but most schools aren't going to do that.
Well, they're
most
not
schools are going to go along with the propaganda.
Well, I think
most schools are a den of wicked individuals.
I mean, we'll see, but it just doesn't make sense why that would be the one place that there aren't guns in society, whenever there's guns everywhere else. This is America. Maybe we should embrace our Second Amendment as opposed to being afraid of it. And I don't know. I mean, we're gonna see what happens.
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
Yeah.
Give us some comments. Let us know what you think. You can even be on the show.
Yeah, I think it's a horrible idea. I think it's going to be disastrous in the future. I understand why people like the thought of it, but I don't particularly care for the thought of having individuals that I would not trust to, watch my home over the weekend.
Well, yeah, but you're always around people probably with weapons, or individuals you don't trust to watch your home with guns, and you just don't know it. So what is the difference between that and being at school? Like, just doesn't. What's the
I
difference?
already told you because the statistics in the school far outweigh the odds. So okay, first off, the people who want authority and abuse authority is a small subset of the population in general, and you typically find those subsets exacerbated in positions of authority, like being a police officer, being a teacher, being a principal. So your odds of running into that crazy person are increasing once you step into those institutions. So there's a lot of people who will abuse their power at their workplace, right? You might have a manager who's a dick. You might have a manager who's a dick. You might know somebody in your job who takes advantage of stuff because they have authority, right? But that same person can't necessarily do that in the real, like with other things. Now just flip it and say it's a cop. When a cop abuses his authority, really bad. When a teacher or a principal abuses their authority, really bad. And what I'm saying is that the statistics show that there's a lot of abuse, a lot of abuse of sexual abuse and abuse of authority in the public institutions. So there's a psychological profile with a decent amount of teachers and staffers and public school administrators that have that inflated ego to want authority. So you are right that yes, we may be around all these psychos in public. We may be around these people who are abusive, who are carrying a gun. You're 100% right. However, your odds of encountering them in the general population are far slimmer than actually encountering them in an institution of authority. That's the argument I'm making.
I mean, I don't know. Out in public, I see a lot of crazy crackheads and shit like that in the schools. They don't really let them in there. Like, so I don't know.
No, they're supposed to have secured. They're supposed to have secured entry.
So they should have,
yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, there is no reason why they cannot stop this. It's like they're letting this happen on purpose.
They are.
You know,
you're seeing the truth.
yeah.
I mean,
Well, here's my thing. Like, what's your
false.
solution? I know your solution is like everybody homeschool, but like realistically, do you have any other solution? To the
Yeah,
problem?
community schooling. If you can't homeschool, community school. So, like, localize everything as much as you can. It's insane to think that you can send your children off to a school that has 1,000 kids and expect them to get a good education and be properly socialized.
What's the difference between a community school and, like, you know? Like,
Because a community school would be like your old schoolhouse back in the day. It would be like maybe 20, 30 kids of varying ages. They can help each other out learn, which will help the older kids, help the younger kids, help the teacher who's overseeing it, and also the other parents. So there's community schools.
Yeah, but communities are too large to have a single school.
No, they're
just
not.
30 people.
They're not.
They'd have
They're
to be
not. You
a
can
whole bunch of little buildings.
Yeah, you can
what?
fragment them. No, I know people in churches who actually do this. And they have the school in their house, or somebody has it in their other house.
So they take turns.
They can do that, or they can have one community building. They can do it in a church. There's many things that you can do.
I mean, there could still be a
options.
shooting though at someone's house as opposed to a school. Like,
what are the odds though? I mean, yeah, maybe if somebody's wife is cheating and he's going nuts or something.
So you're saying it's because
right?
there's
But
so many
odds,
people bunched together that the odds of somebody flipping out and like, because there's so many.
No,
people
what
in
I'm
the school.
saying, like in the public school setting, they're a prime target for false flag events because they can control the narrative completely. It'll be much harder to send false flag. So first off, we have to understand this. We're talking about something on a spiritual level. We're getting down to the most fundamental thing. It's spiritually what we're talking about. And so there's a contractual agreement that we have to have with the system that runs society at large. We have to agree to participate in it. If we don't agree to participate in it, that's fine. There's some repercussions, there's some ostracization, etc. So when you're in the public school system, you are agreeing that your child is now going to be indoctrinated by definition by the state. You are agreeing that they're under the state's protection, no longer your protection. They're not your responsibility for the next 8 hours, not under your protection. They're under the state's protection. And you're basically giving the state consent to do these false flag events, like we saw Sandy Hook, like we saw at Uvalde, like we keep seeing in school shootings, like we keep seeing FBI agents grooming mentally challenged, mentally ill individuals into doing these shootings, or at least into acting as if they're doing these shootings. Yeah, so there's a contractual agreement, so it won't happen on private property. It will not. Like if it does, it'll be very, very rare.
You're saying so you're idea is community schooling, where people have there's like what potentially 20 to 30 kids, and they go to different houses.
That would be much healthier. The kids would have a better social experience because this idea of multiculturalism, of diversity, is completely retarded and insane. It doesn't work.
Well, you'd have to know for sure that those 20 kids' parents aren't crazy, right?
So
how would you go about
So
that?
here's the thing: if you're already going to be in a community school, you already have an idea that those parents at least share a lot of the same core values as you. Obviously, you're going to diverge on a bunch of other stuff, but you're going to share some very, very common core values, which people who are in public school systems, they can't say that. They can't say that about the other parents because there's such a variety.
Well, that's what I'm saying. There's so many more kids.
And I'm telling you that in these smaller communities, you're much more likely to be around like-minded individuals.
But how the hell would you even do that? Like, you'd have to like just.
It's very easy.
The
You can go
20,
online.
the 20. It'd have to be like the 20 closest families to you all bunched together and decide that you're going to do some kind of community schooling type thing.
You could do that. There's already established ones that you can join. There's so many things that you can do outside of the public school system.
Well, I know
if you can afford it. If you can afford it, some private school systems are better than public school systems. I don't necessarily agree with private school either, from what I hear.
And why do you say that? Because they're smaller?
Well, they're smart. Well, private schools for a couple reasons. Because the parents have a lot more say in what's being taught and what's being done because they're paying the schools directly. Yeah. Also, they are smaller in some cases. And if you're going to a really good private institution, you're going to be taught how to do the actual scientific method. You're going to be taught how to read firsthand documents, not textbooks. You're going to be taught how to come up with theories. That's what the elite send their kids to school for. A lot of them send their kids to these elite private schools that are just basically farms for Harvard, Yale, Oxford, because they can afford to spend $100,000 a year throughout their whole child's educational life, right? So private schools, maybe if you can afford them, maybe would be another option, but definitely homeschooling. Everybody can homeschool. I don't care what anybody's situation is. Lower your living standards. Your child is the best investment you will ever make in your life. And no, you are not too dumb. You don't have to be super smart. There's so much. You can teach your child everything they need to know. I believe it is the parent's responsibility. It is their duty to teach their children. And everybody can do it. I think it is very possible. I don't think it's impossible at all. I think it is very possible. People just have to be willing to sacrifice their lives. Obviously, there's exceptions to the rule, such as single parents. Single parents probably have a hard time doing that. But then that's a deeper issue within society. But I think everybody homeschooling their children is a very doable thing. Obviously, it's an idealistic perspective of mine. It's like what I would wish the world would be. But it is doable. It is doable. More people can do it than they think.
But with homeschooling, how are you going to teach your kid about the social life?
Easy.
How to deal with criticism from their peers, people their age. Whenever they get out into the workforce, if you're always around your parents and your parents are always sticking up for you.
Well, that's an assumption you just made, that your parents will always stick up for you if you're being homeschooled. That's a huge assumption. That's not a fact. That's not something that's even going to happen most times. So a good parent is going to let their children solve problems on their own. That's what a good parent will do. They'll say, okay, I'm not going to hold your hand through this. You learn how to do that. I do that with my daughters right now as they're 2 years old with little things. Like, oh, I can't figure out how to put this in there. You do. You can figure it out. Yeah. So
but as they get older,
an assumption.
As they get older, they have more problems than just trying to fit something into a square.
Of course, but you can.
The emotional side of it. Not all kids are always comfortable about talking to their parents about everything that goes on in their lives. They
should be.
Yeah, they should be, but a lot of them don't.
And it's because of the way they're raised. It's because of society.
Yeah.
It's not natural at all. It's not natural. The people that you should be the closest with are your parents. It's insane to think that you would share the most personal things with somebody who's not your parent. That to me is insane. That to me is unnatural. It's actually provably unnatural. If you go to tribal communities, if you go to tribal societies where they live how humans are supposed to live, not saying that we should all live in mud huts, but we are tribal, so we can all have our own houses but live in our own little gated community, if you will. Some people will call it a commune or whatever, but it is extremely natural. Anyway, those kids, they're going to their parents with their problems. They're not afraid to talk to their parents about that. The reason why kids today are afraid of it is because society, TV, teachers, their friends, everybody else is shaming them or saying that you can't talk to your parents about this because they'll get upset. That's exactly what groomers tell children. Don't tell your parents what we just did because they're going to get upset.
Yeah.
So it's total brainwash. And then as far as the society, like how are they going to be socialized? Well, very easy. Do you have a social life?
Yeah.
And are your kids involved in your social life?
Yes, they are.
There you go. So it'd be the same way with me, like educating my children, so they'd be involved in the social life that my wife and I have as well. We're very social people. So when we go out, there's a bunch of, like this weekend, right? This weekend we went out and there was a festival going on. A bunch of kids, probably most of them public school, right? My daughters were playing around with the other kids. They're making friends at these festivals. They're making friends at, not necessarily they're making friends, but they're getting social experiences at these festivals. They're getting social experiences when we have these bear meetups that we attend, which is in, that's a whole other thing, but the Bear Target group, so, there's plenty of social settings. To assume that the children can't get social interaction if they're homeschooled is to assume their parents have no social life either. And it is also to assume that their children are basically indoor dwellers and never go outside. And it's to assume their parents never experience society at large. Those are a lot of assumptions that have to be made, and they're all false because most people have a social life outside of work, outside of whatever they do. And you can get your children involved in that. It's actually much healthier for children to be talking to a wide variety of ages as opposed to just staying with their 10-year-old, their 11-year-old, their age group. That's actually detrimental. That's very bad for a child to stay just within their age group and only socialize with them. It's much healthier and much more natural for a child to be able to talk to a 5-year-old, a 10-year-old, a 30-year-old, an 80-year-old, and then go back and play with their 10-year-old friends. Why? Well, it's building. That's how you build a real character. That's how you build personality. Because in real life, do you just deal with people your age?
No.
Do you just deal with people your own age? I don't either. And children are nothing but little humans. That's what people forget. They're no different than us. They're just little humans. And so why not give your child the full human experience? They don't get that when they're in public school. They get a better social interaction and a better social life in a homeschool setting because they're going to be experiencing adults, kids, real world, driving, cars. How does my mom make this cake? How does my dad work the grill? How does my dad change oil? How does my dad fix the roof? Like all this stuff, you can teach them.
Yeah, we do. We learn that kind of stuff all the time.
Yeah, I'm just saying that it would be that would be ideal to have over the public school institution. That's what I'm saying, and that there is no lack of social interaction whatsoever for homeschool kids. It's a big myth. I think people are more socially damaged going to public schools. There are people who suffer from anxiety. Anxiety comes from a big part of a lack of confidence. And the reason why you have a lack of confidence most of the time is because you were criticized, you were bullied, somebody said you weren't good enough, something like that. And most people experience that where? In public school. How many times, Mick, you've told me this, how many times when you had a question in public school systems, you raise your hand and you're like, dude, you're asking too many questions, shut up.
But that,
right?
But that
But
also
you never get that in a homeschool.
But that also helps you learn how to deal with those types of situations. Being criticized.
Trauma isn't good.
But if I would have let the things that happened to me whenever I was a kid growing up, if I would let that stick with me and be down on it, I wouldn't be where I'm at today.
Yeah, but
all my life experience and all the criticism and all this stuff that I learned going to public schools and stuff like that, it's helped me be who I am today. And I'm not doing better. I don't know how to say it, but
yeah, no,
I'm doing good for myself.
No, I agree with you. I agree with you that everything that we've been through has made us the person who we are today. But I think we can all agree that we could be better than who we are. And so what I'm saying, the opinion I'm offering here, is that we can set our children on a better path if they don't have to go through some of the things that we went through. Because I also think that it's sick thinking that it's good for my child to go through these awkward, anxiety-driven, trauma-based moments.
But they're
not good.
That's life after they grow up and they get a job.
Yes, but you can have a relatively trauma-free life. Like most people think that, oh, and it's because of this middle class, lower class mentality. That's where it comes from. Like, no, like you don't have to have a trauma-based life. You don't, and that's essentially what you're arguing for. Is like, hey, my children need to get all these traumas to know how to deal with them. If you just teach your child to be confident and not have to deal with those things, they'll do much better dealing with negative emotions than having to just be piled on with negative emotions and then trying to later in life learning how to replace them with positive emotions and make sense of them. Because I had a horrible relationship with my father, a lot of bad experiences there, and that didn't help me. I mean, yeah, it helped me in some ways, but I would be much better off if I had a better dad. Not saying that I don't love my dad, not saying that I don't want my dad to be my dad, but I think you guys are getting what I'm saying. Like, if my dad was a better father, my experiences would be much better, and I, in turn, would be a better person. If you didn't have dickheads in your school, if you didn't have dickheads in your school, if I didn't have dickheads in my school, we'd probably be much better people. So I don't think they make you a better person. I think they harden you. They make you actually a little more.
That's a good
negative.
thing.
We got a couple comments.
I don't agree with.
We got a couple comments. We're picking up some traction. You got any on there?
Yeah, I do. But we'll answer the TikTok question.
All right.
First.
Now this I'm just gonna give this guy a little bit of clout, even though it has nothing to do with it. But he said, "Was on my way home from work this morning when all of a sudden, without warning, my Dixie wrecked. That's a colder vision.
Why would we want to know that?
I don't know.
He's trolling.
Anyway, so then we got someone else. EltXHDZ. How will they learn? Experience is the best teacher.
Yeah, that's what I was just saying. That's literally what I was just explaining. Yeah. So then we have some other comments here. Here's one on YouTube. Is this a bring your own tinfoil hat stream, or are they provided?
Then we forgot
large if y'all have some to spare. Yeah, you're gonna have to bring your own tinfoil. Sorry, we did not come prepared for a party. And then there was another comment by the same person, Alan. Yes, teaching your kids now will make them stronger. Parenting has taken a back seat in allowing others indoctrinating them for you. 100% agree. And that's something else that most people don't want to accept. A lot of truthers as well have a hard time accepting this, that we are all programmed, that we are all in some way an NPC. Most people don't want to acknowledge it because they have too much pride, but there are things that you do, things that I do, that make you guys NPCs as well. There's just certain things that we're programmed to do by society, by parents. And so what we have to understand too is that we are programming our families. We are programming our families. And who has a stronger program? Who's the stronger program? You or society and its institutions? Yeah. It really depends on your lifestyle, your family life. Now, this isn't to say, like we talked last week about this particular topic, and I truly believe that you guys do a great job with your kids. Every time I've met them,
you're not supposed to just let the schools,
100%
do everything.
100%.
I mean, you still got to instill your values and everything into your children.
100%.
Yeah, I mean, I do tend to believe that homeschooling may be the better path, but it sounds like the big thing really is just that schools are too large, just too much interaction with too much random. Like, you don't know the people, you don't know the parents, you don't know who they're interacting with. Mm-hmm. So it seems like you tend to believe that smaller communities would just be it's more natural.
I would agree that smaller schools would be better.
Well, a lot of people have been saying that for a while,
but they just
crowded.
Over the past 20 years, though, if you go back and look, they're taking down. Not too long ago in the 80s, 90s, there was different community schools everywhere.
Tearing them down, building
one giant school for
multiple why? It's more economically friendly for them to have. Then they can sell that property.
Or along his point, is it easier to
control, indoctrinate?
Well, yeah,
that's what it is.
I can see both sides of it. But just me personally, I believe that my kids go in public schools.
Well, it's a little late.
It's a better fit for us. It is a better fit for our family.
Yeah, and you got
everybody looks at things differently. Everybody has their own opinions.
100%.
Nobody's opinion's wrong. We all live different ways and have different thoughts.
I'm going to say there are opinions that are wrong, but I just
like
being controversial.
Yeah, that's your opinion. You can go ahead and have that.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know. I don't know if there's anything else to talk about on that one.
No, but I believe that it's
And let us know what you guys think.
Yeah.
Your voice will be heard here.
Yeah.
Hell, you could even come on the show if you wanted to. So
That was the first segment we talked about. Ohio is working on passing a piece of legislation that would allow teachers and staff members in public schools to be armed. So let us know what you think. They have to go through a training program, 24-hour training, and a couple other things as well that we covered at the top of the hour. So let us know what you guys think on that particular topic. But we're going to move on to the next segment. The next segment has to do with what Mick wanted to bring up, and that has to do with the militarization of the world right now. It seems like a lot of countries are preparing for war.
Yeah, well, this has been going on for a while. I mean, I think it was just a year ago that the U.S., Britain, and Australia made a pact for Australia to receive all these nuclear submarines from the U.S. as opposed to France, and France got all butthurt about it. But I mean, yeah, there's all these different countries that are militarizing. Like Germany has just pledged $100 billion to ramp up their military.
That was to NATO too, right? They're going to increase their dollar amount to NATO as well.
Yeah, I don't know. I just saw $100 billion. They're going to revamp, build up their military. The U.S. recently just did a military exercise with South Korea involving an aircraft carrier, which they don't normally do that. Taiwan is preparing their people for war. China is about to reveal their newest aircraft carrier
in 2024. Though that's a couple years away.
Oh yeah, who knows with the Chinese? Maybe they'll bust it out sooner. Who knows?
Yeah. And China's talking about having a sit down with the U.S. Defense Department Secretary of the U.S. Defense Department, I think.
Talking about
what's their deals with Taiwan. They want them to stop doing arm deals and trade deals with Taiwan.
Interesting, yeah. So it seems like a lot of countries are doing this. We have another comment real quick about the teacher thing. Same person that commented before. He said, experience is the best teacher. Already said that. And then he said, Elliot's. Not sure what that means. Then he said, surprisingly, people who come from private schools are better at controlling their emotions. So, yeah, we'll see. I mean, who knows? I haven't seen the studies. Sure, crazy people come from all forms of life.
They do, like, and this is. I feel like people do this to try to, I don't know if it's to sound intelligent or to hedge, but yeah, there are crazy people everywhere. But just like I explained with the whole, like, there's going to be people who are abusing authority more in certain institutions. There's going to be a higher percentage of them than the general population. So yeah, there's crazy people everywhere, but crazy people, you're going to find a disproportionate amount of crazy people at a freaking loony bin, right?
Yeah. So I mean, if I'm homeschooling my kids, I would feel like there's less of a chance of me or my wife snapping and going crazy as opposed to one of the teachers, because those are my kids. So yeah, but back to the militarization thing, the mobilization of all these nations. I don't know. I think it's a sign that we need to mobilize and prepare for anything that could happen. That's really what I'm getting from it. I don't know. What do you guys think? You think the end of the world's coming? What do you guys think?
No, we got another comment really quick. Then we'll get on that. Same person on YouTube, Alan, said, can you guys comment on Illinois trying to implement a race-based grading system? I'm not exactly sure what that is. I'll look it up real quick.
That's interesting. That sounds like is that part of the reparations that you automatically get an A to?
Well, it might have to do with not a lot let's see.
You get a handicap if you're a certain race or something.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it is. Actually, it's well, I'll get controversial here in a second. This won't hopefully get us banned.
Yeah, let's really not try to screw this up.
Yeah.
I just had the thought in my head that I'm gonna have to figure out how to word.
I'm trying to pull this article up, and then we'll take a look at it. So this is explaining, I think, what he's talking about. So it says Illinois high school didn't adopt race-based grading system. Now, just so you know, I don't believe a lot what the mainstream news says. So I'm just reading the article here. It'll have the truth. It says claim Illinois high school will implement a race-based grading system for next school. And then obviously the AP saying that it's false. The school has adopted no such policy. And in a state, don't trust me, guys. I'm not one of those fact check believers. If anybody's watched any of my streams, you guys will know. Anyway, I'm just reading the school's board gave a presentation on Monday, on May 26th, mentioning equitable grading. So it is race-based. They're just calling it something else. Practices which value whether a student has mastered academic content. Some districts have sought such alternative approaches to eliminate bias from grading system. All right, I'll get into what it's going to be controversial, what I have to say in a second. The facts: a widely shared story online is falsely claiming. I want to know what exactly they're teaching.
We got a comment from the same guy, Elt TTXHGZ. You got to come up with a better username, dude. That's crazy. But anyway, he says, "I'm glad to see people looking into something before having an opinion." LOL. That's what we do.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're not into just making up our mind before we know the facts. It's all about the facts.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Well, I'm trying to find an objective article on it. So, equitable grading system earns Illinois high school a federal civil rights complaint. So, a conservative think tank led by Department of Education officials have filed. Why though? Why? That's what I'm trying to figure out. To benefit. Okay, so right here, Districts 200 announced intention to revise grading policy to benefit students from particular race, racial, or ethnic backgrounds. Blatantly violates these laws. For the schools to eliminate policies, practices, attitudes, and cultural messages that reinforce or fail to eliminate different outcomes by race. So, when issuing grading, including penalties for late assignments and absentees.
Sounds
The
like
district seeks to. Okay, so this might be it right here. The district seeks to implement a race-based grading policy that only violates the Constitution and civil rights law, but also harms the very students it is intended to help. Instead of focusing on the real issue at hand, the lack of education. So it looks like
this guy says, "Look for the source of the bill, who wrote it, and what is their official statement on it." It was so this is a bill for Illinois.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of sounds like the whole reparations thing they're starting in California. It seems like the government is trying to divide us even more in any way they can, through our differences and
Now I'm not.
Conquer.
Oh, here goes one controversial take. I'm not against segregation. So what California is talking about, I'm not against segregation.
Well, they're talking about making separate schools or whatnot for different cultures.
I'm against reparation. I'm not against segregation.
As long as it's not like forced segregation. If it's like your choice and that's where you want to go to school, okay. But like as long as it's not forced, because that's what it was in the past.
Yeah. Why would we want to go backwards?
Yeah, I mean,
well, it's not backwards. It's more natural.
Well, if you want to go to a school,
we're backwards like that, now.
If I want to send my kid to an all-white school, I don't know if that's even possible. I don't think they have those, but I don't think that should be wrong. But I mean, I'm not really interested in that. So, 3 white guys in a room. New York guy, 007.
I'm Puerto Rican, bro. So is James.
Me too, buddy.
We're sort of Ricans in here, and we got an Italian.
Yeah. That's a spicy meatball.
Oh man, I'm trying to freaking find more on this. I think this might be it right here. So you guys keep talking about this. I'm reading, and then I'll tell you exactly.
James, is the world coming to an end? What's going on? Why are all these countries ramping up the military? Didn't the same thing happen like during World War II, World War I? All these countries were building up their military. I mean, you're a history buff, Louise. I mean, do you know anything about that?
Yeah, I can go into it, but you guys.
Hey, he said we look very successful. Thank you very much, New York guy 007. I bet you're probably a secret agent, and you're also very successful from New York. How's that rent, or how's the housing costs up there in New York doing for you?
As far as other nations getting or putting their militaries, getting them together, it might have a lot to do with Ukraine and Russia, and also China and what's that country they're trying? Taiwan.
Do you think they're just like trying to stay prepared?
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that. That's why I think this is a sign that we need to stay prepared.
So they're basically just making it so it is going to be. So here's the thing: statistics are 77% of Black students failed, 49% of Hispanic students failed, 27% of Asian students failed, 25% of white students failed. So they're trying to equal it out between the Blacks and Hispanics to get up with the Asians and whites when it comes to grading. And they're just trying to make it more fair because they think that the system is not catering towards minority groups. Fun fact, going to be very controversial. This won't get us kicked off, but it is going to be very controversial. You guys do reaction videos. Look into Tom. Yeah, I don't do reaction videos, but I know Thomas Sowell. But yeah, so now that I know what's going on with that whole issue, here's the thing. Statistically speaking, nobody wants to talk about this. This is a taboo statistic. African Americans, Hispanics have far lower IQs than Europeans and definitely Asians. And so that's why you see the issue in grading that you see. Unfortunately, there is an intelligent gap that comes from cultural, but mostly genetics.
But they're probably better at rolling a burrito. So, everybody, what is intelligence? I mean, who designs these tests for IQ?
So
IQ is that a national, like a worldwide IQ
So
scale?
obviously, it's only in Illinois at this point.
Well, I'm saying IQ, you know how you can test for IQ, like tests for that.
So IQ was developed by sociologists. One of the most accurate predictors that they have for intelligence. Basically, what it is, how quickly can you solve problems? So complex problems, simple problems, how quickly can
do they
you
give them
them?
a gun in an active shooter situation? And is that how they decide?
Well, I mean, so there's there's different levels. There's different types of intelligence that they measure. Your analytics, your spatial, your logical, and verbal. And so the better, you are at all of them, the higher your IQ. And that's basically the quicker you solve problems related to those things, the higher your IQ.
But who makes the standard? Like, do you know? Is it like
there's a bunch of different IQ tests, but they all correlate with each other pretty well. Like the SAT used to be an IQ test. You used to be able to get into high IQ societies, not anymore.
So is it like the world governments all combine and come together? Like, is there some type of educational organization that comes up?
So there's like
tests?
the Stanford Finance.
Like, how the hell do you give an African kid who talks in clicking sounds an IQ test? Like, how do you even test their IQ?
Well, so that's an argument that people have been making in the community of intelligence, saying that, hey, there's cultural biases in these IQ tests. So now there's IQ tests that are based on things that would be culturally unbiased. So a lot of the words, for example, like maybe a kid, to your point, is very smart, but they haven't read a lot. So their vocabulary isn't as big. So they won't be able to, when they take their IQ test, know the synonyms, the antonyms, what certain words mean, simply because they haven't been exposed to them, which then may give them a faulty IQ score. Also, there are a lot of people, who score really well on an IQ score, and they go in on another day where they may be a little depressed, a little down, and they get a lower IQ. So it can fluctuate a little bit, but it's typically going to be the same. And as far as what you're talking about, there are culturally catered IQ tests, and IQ is a really good predictor up to a certain degree on how much money you'll have in your life, how successful you'll be, up to a certain point. I think the threshold might be up to 120 to 130 is right in that sweet spot where you're smarter than a lot of the people around you. You're more intelligent than a lot of people around you. You can do things kind of better and faster than a lot of people around you, but you're not somebody that's like a Chris Lanigan, who's the world's smartest man, who has a 210 IQ.
He got the highest IQ. The highest. We got a couple comments here. The New York guy, cost is relative, isn't it? Well, he's talking about the price of New York. Nobody likes New York, man. You don't want to live there. I'm just joking. They have good hot dogs.
And then I think this is
correlate hot dogs with New York and not pizza.
I think this is your brother, Jose. He said, I graduated with a master's and my IQ is 75.
I believe it.
I mean, if 75 is retarded, actually.
It's borderline.
I'm serious.
No, it is. I think that's the cutoff.
Yeah, so I don't know, man. I don't know if you graduate with your master's and have almost a retarded IQ.
And then we had
No, you haven't met him yet.
I've talked to him. Though. He came on the show. He seemed like a well-spoken guy.
Elliot said, "People make the grades that they earn." Ha 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 ha. Blah blah blah.
No, I
else?
believe in. Hey, I do believe that the where you're from also plays a very big role in your grades and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Me personally, I came from a neighborhood that was predominantly not white at all, and I've seen firsthand how people that live in urban areas like that, how they are, just in particular. Like, I'm not saying any race. I'm just saying in urban areas.
Oh no, we can be honest, man. There are cult. Man, I had a whole stream about this.
Different societies have different communities have different interests.
Yes. So there is a race component to it. There is a correlation. For sure.
Some people are just interested in getting by day to day. Some people are interested in excelling.
And some people are just not interested at all.
Some people who say I'm bored, avoid those people.
Like, yes, you can always. There's always you can always do something to occupy your time when you're not bored.
Yeah, and also life is just amazing. Like, when's the last time you heard a 3-year-old say, "I'm bored"?
Never.
Exactly.
Yeah. I don't know. My kid has never said that. So
yeah, it's only adults that start saying I'm bored. There are different types of intelligence. There are different types of intelligence, but IQ is the general intelligence, the overall general intelligence. So you can be real. This is a comment on YouTube.
What does he mean by there's different?
You talking about like aliens
spatial intelligence? He could be talking about aliens. Or dogs or something like that, but no, like spatial IQ or just spatial intelligence. So how well are you at, like, you can think of like Tetris.
Oh,
are you like spatially adapt? Can you put things in the right spot? Can you organize things better? Are you analytical? Like, are you logical? Do you think through problems very logically? Can you solve those problems quickly? Practical solutions, math, where you get in math, those are all kind of analytical. Engineers typically have like high spatial and high analytics. Verbal, how big is your vocabulary? How articulate are you? There may be another one I can think of: social intelligence, book smart, street smart, etc.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, so there is social. So there is a social intelligence component to it as well. But there is a false conception that people with high IQs tend to be socially retarded. That's not true at all. They tend to be the most, like, really good at social interactions because they're able to pick up on more subtle behaviors than a lot of people are.
Based Hispanic says, dude in the middle isn't white enough. I'm not. I'm pretty tan. You should see my kids. They're tan too. It's because I'm Italian. I'm olive skin.
Okay. There you go. Yeah, I got to get more tan.
Maybe we'll all get a tanning pass. And,
well, maybe next weekend we should do the show outside.
Oh, we should go to the beach. Let's go to the beach, man.
No, we should do a stream from a tanning bed. We should all get tanning beds and just stick it up. That'd be pretty gay.
Yeah.
I have to fake it till you make it. All right, fair enough. I have dealt with very intelligent people and can't solve a simple day-to-day problem. Yeah, but that's like what we just talked about before. You're going to find crazy people. You're going to find your exceptions everywhere. But I've dealt also with a lot of very intelligent people. Like, I literally have dealt with a lot of high IQ individuals. Not one of them have been socially retarded at all. Live IQ tests and extreme. No, I mean, what? You want me to pay to take it? Like, there is no legitimate IQ
not
test.
free ones?
There are, but they're inaccurate. So if you want us to take an IQ test on stream, you pay for the test through professional settings, which will cost you hundreds of dollars, and then you pay us to take the IQ test.
I was thinking that too. I was like, we should all do an IQ test for fun.
Hey,
like, whoever loses has
as long as I get over Jose, all I got to be 75. And
hey, I don't know what this says about me, but I took the IQ test that Joe Rogan took.
We got another
on
one.
his Instagram.
Based Hispanics. Thoughts on Planned Parenthood's only being in low-income areas.
Say it again.
Thoughts on Planned Parenthood's only being in low-income areas.
Eugenics.
That's what the next comment was. Eugenics.
Yeah, just to prove a point. Just to prove a point.
So yeah, getting back to the mobilization of the world, like, you think that they're just preparing for, what could happen. What do you think?
I don't know. Honestly, I think that there's a preparation for like World War III. I think that the narrative's been building up for quite some time. And I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know. There's a lot going on. It could be theater as well, right? But we are seeing a new system being built. So they may need this war to overhaul. I don't know. I don't know, man. I really don't know.
So we got mute the truth. Listen to pro-choicers' arguments. It's obvious when they get to talking that it's about eugenics, and then based Hispanic says, mute the truth. That's why I'm pro-choice.
Hey, I can make an argument for pro-choice as well, man. Like, if you want to get rid of your bloodline, go ahead. You don't deserve to continue living. You don't deserve. Your bloodline deserves to perish if you want to abort your own child. And then your whole family gone, forgotten throughout history. And then it makes it easier for people like me, like you guys, and our families to thrive because we're getting rid of the weak.
Yeah, the best way for history to remember you.
Obviously, I'm pro-life. But I'm just saying I can make a pro-choice argument that's pretty dark.
The best way for people to remember you is through your children.
Exactly.
For history to remember you. So when you guys think of all this mobilization, you guys think potentially World War III could happen. What do you think is what does World War III look like to you? Is the internet going to go out? Like, what do you guys think? A lot of people say that the internet's going to go out.
World War III would be, of course, unlike any other war there has been.
Well, Einstein says it's going to be fought with World War IV would be fought with sticks and stones.
Yeah, well, this one could be fought with nukes. That would be a pretty scary thing if World War III broke out.
I mean, wouldn't it end in a matter of seconds if that were the case?
Yes, I think nukes are fake. I think they've been.
Can you look up something to try and? Because I know you've been talking about this a lot. You've never actually shared anything with me. Where do you get your ideas from?
I'm gonna have to dig a lot into this, but it just doesn't make sense. So, first off, if we look at the alleged nuclear bomb in Japan, 2 of them, apparently radiation comes at a white winter, right? A fallout takes place after a nuclear bomb explodes to where you can no longer inhabit that area. Why was it? A year after the bombings, street life and regular life was going as normal in Japan.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I just saw the.
Why is it that there was only one reporter allowed to go to Japan, and he worked for the New York Times, and he happened to be a small hat? Nobody else was able to do that. If they reported on what happened, they would be in jail. There was legal punishment after people who would report what happened in there, because you know why? Because there weren't nuclear bombs, dog. They were fire bombs. They were the same bombs that they were dropping as before. Nuclear bombs are a psyop to keep the slaves in order and to also scare people into not going into war. And it doesn't make any logical sense that we would have a nuclear war if nukes were real and they could do the damage that they say they can do. Because then what the hell are the elites going to do with the world that's totally destroyed? That is insane. It doesn't make any sense.
That's an argument I've had for a long time. I'm like, why would the elites ever just allow the world to be destroyed with nuclear weapons when they have all this cool shit? Like, they have all these cool toys, they have yachts. Like, the world would be over. They would be like, man, I lost everything. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Like, why would they do that?
It doesn't make sense. So I don't think World War III is going to be with nukes. I think there's a lot of pre-programming going on for years. Yeah. As you said, with Einstein, who banged his cousin, left his like the dude's MC, the whole MC equals E equals MC squared. Einstein equals married cousin twice. He married twice his cousins, 2 of his cousins, I think. Anyway, I don't want to get into
I mean, we have plenty of weapons that we could cause horrific things.
Exactly. I think that the real World War III is going to be an information war. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of bloodshed. I'm not saying that there won't be bloodshed, but I think a lot of, probably in the U.S., most of us will be fine. There may be a draft of some sort. Thankfully for us, we're all over 26. Also, our
you can't get drafted after
I don't
that?
think so.
I have back problems, so I'm good.
So it's saying here why there was no radioactive fallout in Hiroshima and Nagasaki is because the bombs were actually lit off or set off so so far up in the sky.
So they ignited the bombs in the sky. And
Yeah.
that
Well,
doesn't
it
make any
probably-
sense then. That how would it have impact on the ground
Well, because it
if it already exploded?
well it
Because it
blows
goes-
up.
it-
Yeah, just
It's
then
an
also,
implosion. It's an
Wouldn't
implosion
the
before an
ozone,
explosion.
wouldn't everything just be destroyed if they
Yeah,
blew it up there?
But
I
they
don't
said
know.
it's a low ratio radiation. They're saying that it's similar to like natural radiation in that bomb.
See, in that bomb, I don't buy it.
So we got a couple more comments. Elliot, I'm assuming his name is. That's why he.
There's wildlife growing in Crimea right now, or wherever the hell they have a nuclear fallout. Allegedly,
Where was it? It was in Russia.
isn't it Crimea or something?
No, it's not Crimea. It was. Look it up real quick.
I've
Just type in Russian. It's in Ukraine.
They
Chernobyl. Chernobyl.
yeah.
Chernobyl. There are people that lived there throughout everything.
Yeah.
They never left. It's all a joke.
Yeah,
all a
I don't
joke.
know. I heard things.
There's
in the past.
wildlife thriving there.
I've heard things in the past that they found radiation in the Middle East, and some people say it's because aliens dropped nuclear weapons.
And radiation, like nuclear and uranium, aren't bad for you either. Like,
Well, from what I was just reading here, the difference between a nuclear bomb and an atom bomb is one is nuclear fusion and the other one is nuclear fission.
yeah, I think it's
So,
just a narrative to scare people.
We have
There's
a
a
couple
lot.
comments.
I have a comment too on YouTube.
The Elliot
do
guy.
this one first.
Okay, yeah,
This
go
one
ahead.
I'm doing the TikTok ones first. Hey guys, it's my first time watching you. I love it. I have an open house to run. I'll catch the replay. A Hexagon. Woohoo! Yep, we are Hexagons here. Well, James
me and
still
him
has
are.
to be introduced into Hex, but Mick and I, we're Hexagons.
I just became a
Glad to have
Mexican
you.
like 2 days ago.
Yeah, Wales Only. Wales Only has been on the show, man. I think that's
Nice.
who you're referring to. You know, Wales Only has been on the show a couple times. He and I speak. He's a cool dude. Really like Wales. Thanks for tuning in, man.
You got him?
Yep.
Yeah, so Elliot, he said, if I can't have it, no one can. I'm assuming that's about the pro-choice thing. And then we got another guy, Gravity is Fake 36. Of course there was radioactive fallout. Hundreds of thousands died from radiation sickness. Many got sick from Chernobyl radiation as well. I mean,
Yeah, that's
it's
what
all
they
stuff
say.
that you read on the news. I don't know. I haven't done a whole lot of research into it. I've always been, one.
Neither have I, except for my
I used to
quick
draw
little
like
search here.
nuclear explosions all the time and stuff on like my schoolwork, and they talk to my parents and like, "Is he okay?" Like
I watch
after
videos.
after 9/11, I would draw like buildings blowing up and planes dropping bombs on cities.
Well, I think every kid did that. I remember doing that too.
But that's just I have an active imagination. I guess whenever you're a kid, and you see those big explosions. It kind of look cool, you know. I don't know. I like fireworks.
Also, the desert, man. Like, wouldn't our environment be totally over in Area 51 or in the desert where we were letting off all these alleged nukes? There's no fallout there.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't really done all the research. You know, what do you guys think?
It's
Are
fake and
nukes
gay.
real? Are
They're
nukes
fake.
real?
And gay. I think
They're
they're
happy to.
yeah.
So let's elaborate. How's the World War III going to happen? You think nuclear war going to end in a few seconds? You think nukes aren't even real, and it's just going to cause the? It's just going to be like they're going to use
There may-
traditional weapons. I mean, there's going to be crazy
Yeah,
weapons.
no,
there's
there's
going to be
gonna be-
robots
yes.
and all kinds of
I-
drones and crazy shit.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I don't really know about all that. Maybe. But the drones, yes, for sure. But robots, I don't know. I know I've read the same articles as you. Like they have robots on the border of Israel attacking. I don't know how real that shit is. That could also just be another tool of propaganda, like a psychological operation to get people fearful of robots. I don't know because I don't know. That's a whole other topic in and of itself as far as like artificial intelligence. But I think that it's going to be similar to other wars, but there's just going to be much more constraint on information, and the big issues are going to be at home as opposed to abroad.
So would the constraint of information involve some type of outage of electricity? the
Yeah, I think
internet?
that there'll be cyber attacks. I think that they may use. I don't know. I think a lot of. I really don't know. You know, some people are really. I don't know if I can say this on YouTube and TikTok, but the G, the FIVEG. You guys know what I'm saying? FIVEG.
Yeah.
G. A lot of people say that people who work on those as well say that There's different frequencies, different like power amounts that you can have it go to, and a lot of military equipment uses the the FIVEG, and some people speculate that what they can do in order to false flag a nuclear event is increase the output on those towers, those FIVEG towers. I'm only spelling it out continuously because there's going to be people who are just listening, so I can't just throw up my number 5 anyway. And that can cause radiation damage and poisoning, which would be attributed to a nuclear fallout, but it would actually be from the towers, since you have to have an abundance of towers around. Some people speculate that, so that could be a possibility in big cities where we see false flag events, but it's actually the G towers that are letting off so much radiation it could be hurting people. But I think the big issue is going to be, especially for us, like that's what we really care about. Nobody really gives a shit what happens in other countries in all reality. Like, it doesn't affect me that much, doesn't affect you that much. What really affects us is what's happening here. Obviously, there's trickle down effects in some regard. But anyway, I think the big issue is going to be supply chain issues, as I've been saying. And that's going to cause so much harm, man. People aren't going to be able to get all the food that they want, they need. People won't be able to go to the stores as often as they want. They're already talking about rolling blackouts hitting the Midwest in summer, probably the winter. So I think there's just going to be a lot more systematic carnage than there's going to be like warfare. I do think that people are going to go to war. I do think there will be a lot of people dying in war. I tend to think wars like this are satanic rituals or satanic sacrifice rituals because they're totally pointless. But that's what I think. That's what I think. I think you're going to have more issues at home. What do you think?
I'm very open minded. I don't know what to think. I think these countries are preparing. I don't know. I like to be an optimist. I like to think that nothing is really going to happen. I don't know. I don't know. I have no idea what the hell's going to happen. I think that the internet is going to go out, though. I think that there's going to be some type of experiment where Americans and the masses lose the internet, the capability of being connected with the internet. It could be, the rolling blackouts from electricity is what causes it or something. But I think they're going to do some type of social experiment where we don't have the internet for a long period, for not too long, but for maybe like a week. I'd be interested to see the kind of chaos that ensues from that.
Well, they kind of already did that with Facebook and what else over the past year went down and people were freaking out.
Yeah, but that's just a social media. Like, imagine if the internet itself was out.
Yeah, well, that's on a larger scale.
Yeah, that would disrupt a lot of our economy.
Like if people couldn't transfer money, like the banks would have to shut down potentially and things like that. Like, I mean, I don't know. What do you guys think? Would that cause mass chaos?
In big cities, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that
it wouldn't be as bad as not having electricity, but
yeah, get out of big cities. That's what I got to say about that.
So I just think we need to prepare like they're doing. I think we should take it as a sign to prepare.
Yeah, it's always good to have extra stuff. Like we talk about on the show a lot. Localize your supply chains. There's several steps that you can take to do that. It's not very hard. I mean, it's hard in that you have to put in the work, but it's not hard like a rocket scientist needs to do. Like anybody can figure it out. It's very simple. I think that's the biggest thing that you can do is just keep trying to thrive where you're at. Don't be fearful. Don't operate out of fear. Operate out of hope for the future, but also be prudent and know that bad things can happen. And just prepare for those bad things, but expect the worst. Prepare for the worst, expect the best, is what I would say. Because things are going to get more expensive. I think that a lot of people are. This is all kind of intertwined with World War III in a way. Some people even say that World War III has already started. I tend to agree with that. I've mentioned it on the TikToks. But for a lot of people in the Western world, I think it's going to be affecting their pocketbooks more than anything. And that's why it's so important to work your ass off out of debt right now, because shit is going to keep going up in price.
Yeah.
And if you got to pay hundreds of dollars, thousands of dollars in debt every month, you're going to be hurting.
My wife was at the store. She said a can of Progressive soup was $4 for a fucking can of soup.
No, yeah, prices are shooting up
Crazy
on everything.
And what is there in there? Like a couple tiny chunks of chicken.
I don't
There's
know.
like barely anything in there, probably. You know? So that's crazy. So we got Campbell's because it was cheaper.
Yeah. Are they paying for an ad or something?
They should be. They should be.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some stock option plans or something.
There you go.
Like those dividends.
Yeah.
So what's the third topic?
I actually want to bring up something else. So it was the Bilderberg meeting.
Uh-oh.
But
I've heard about them. They seem like nice people.
they are what some people allege to be the shadow government. But they're probably just upper middle management in the whole pyramid. Anyway, before we jump into that, there was a few articles out over the week about the demand for gold going up. Did you guys see anything about that?
No,
People are buying gold.
No, but
Actual
everybody's
physical gold.
talking about it. You know, I write gold at my work everywhere where there's dust because there's a lot of dust. I write gold.
What do you guys think about that?
I don't know. It's been a tough road for gold bugs, but I don't know. I'm holding strong. I really believe in the metal. I don't even care about the whole inflation hedge, store of wealth. I really do believe that the fact that gold doesn't there's a reason why the Egyptians and all them were really into gold. I think that they had electricity back then. I know I'm crazy.
No, I agree with you.
But gold is used in these laptops, in this mic, in these cameras, everything. You guys wouldn't be able to watch this without gold. So I don't know. I think there's a lot more to gold than just than we're led on to believe. So yeah, I'm very bullish on gold. I also think potentially maybe the governments might, certain governments might try to say that it's like domestic terrorism to hold physical gold potentially, because if the Eastern countries like Russia and China try to create some kind of gold-backed, I've heard theories that Iran, Russia, there's going to be a bunch of countries grouped together to create some kind of new currency to battle the dollar backed by commodities. And if that's the case, I could see the U.S. government hating on gold.
What do you think?
As far as that goes, I don't know. I really don't have an opinion. But him saying that, you need gold to use all this equipment and stuff that we have. There's better semiconductors. Did I say that right?
There's better semiconductors than gold.
Yeah.
Well, silver is the best conductor, but gold doesn't corrode like silver, and that's why it's used, in all these electronics. And that's why it's always been weird to me, why did these ancient civilizations cherish gold so much when the actual utility to gold is in its elemental properties, that it doesn't corrode and stuff. That's why I've always been maybe they had electricity. Other people have said, maybe they had electricity and stuff. There's ancient batteries and stuff they found. So I don't know.
So
there's a lot of
the
mysteries.
price of gold will go up then?
It should have already been up. I don't know what the hell's going on. Some people say, I've heard people saying it's going to go to 3,000. I hear some people saying it's going to go to 10,000. I don't know.
What's it at right now?
It's only
it's 1,800. Yeah, it's having trouble getting past 2,000. It should go up. I wouldn't be surprised if everything else is going up.
But what's driving the price of gold?
People are wanting. People think that people are trying to prepare for
an economic collapse.
Stuff.
That's why people get gold, is to hedge against inflation, preserve.
Which it is. People say Bitcoin is digital gold, but Bitcoin's getting its ass kicked if you look at it compared to gold right now. Gold's holding up actually pretty well compared to cryptos. Crypto seems to be going along with the whole NASDAQ thing.
Yeah, we actually were talking about that before you got here. Bitcoin is pretty correlated to the stock market. However, your returns are far greater in crypto than in gold.
It's about timing. It's all about the time you bought it. If you would have bought Bitcoin at $60,000, you'd be kicking yourself in the ass.
Yeah, so that's why you shouldn't try and time the market. You should just simply have time in the market. Time in the market with a good product will do well.
Yeah.
Historically, that's the case. So
that's why I just bought X recently because
Yeah.
it's down so much. You know, I timed the market. If I would have bought that shit back at 20 cents when you told me to, I may be up if I would have staked it. I don't know.
Man. You know, no, you did a smart play. You know, it worked out for you. I don't know if it's necessarily smart, but it definitely worked out because I don't know, like you could actually predict it. You know, so I'm not like saying that you're dumb, but I don't know, like if it's like I don't know, like you can't really predict that shit. It's really hard to predict that shit, but it was definitely a good move on your part. You know, but like with gold, so like let's say a lot of gold bugs are making the argument that you're making. But let's say you held gold for 3 years, or you held Bitcoin for 3 years. You would be far better off holding Bitcoin for 3 years than you would have been for holding gold for 3 years.
As long as you sell it. See, I don't think of gold as a get rich scheme like crypto is. I think of gold as an actual store of wealth. Like you don't have to worry about the shit crashing to like zero. Like it's always gonna, and that's because it has those properties.
I agree with that because even if it does monetarily drop to zero, it still has those properties.
Yeah.
So there's always.
It's just not going to drop to monetary.
No, I don't think it will. But I'm saying in a hypothetical, if it were ever to do that, it doesn't matter because it actually has real world value. So I definitely get where you're coming from with that. You know, I would also say that cryptos have tremendous amount of value as well, and they too will never go to zero
unless the internet goes out. But then, and once it comes back on, then it'll be back.
Yeah. That's a whole other thing, though, man. Like I don't know if the.
What do you think? He's trying to become the new Doge father over here.
No, I'm not. I just jump in and out. Trying to make it up. I'm more. I don't know.
He's just trying to make money wherever you can, right?
Yeah.
As you should be, people.
Yeah. Have multiple streams of
like
income.
right now is the time to be busting your ass and mobilizing like the militaries are.
100%. There's so much money out there. People are so fearful right now.
If you do not give a tip,
so much money.
If you don't give a tip to your delivery driver when gas is almost $5 again, you're a piece of shit.
Yeah, and if you want to know why nobody's delivering your food, it's probably because you're not giving a tip.
So yeah. But a lot of reasons why I think people aren't doing that, because the economy. I've been noticing it lately. Some people aren't getting the tips.
If they're going to do that, then why are they even ordering out? If they're that worried about it,
they're lazy.
Well, that's not good for you.
Yeah, just be more picky with your picks.
Well, yeah,
or selective.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah, but no, there's so many ways that people can make money. There's plenty of business opportunities right now. A lot of people are in a fear mindset. But you know where fortunes are made? In times like these. Especially when it gets worse. Fortunes are made, generational wealth is made during really, really poor economic times. You just have to have the balls to take the risks necessary. And there's just so much freaking money out there, guys.
Oh, yeah, they just printed a lot of it not too long ago. It's got to go somewhere. It's got to go into,
and it can go into your pockets.
Yeah, it could. So were we not? What was the third thing that you wanted to talk about?
The Bilderberg group, or the Bilderberg,
BBW. BBW. That's the ticker symbol.
Yeah, Bilderberg group met this past week in DC. Nobody really talked about it. Didn't get any mainstream media coverage whatsoever. And this is a group of global elites.
Does it say who they are?
It's a variety of people, so you get invited to it.
So, what did the news report say their names, or did it just say the Bilderberg? I've heard it
right here. There's a list of participants right here.
So that's what I'm saying. Like there isn't like a set group, but yeah, there are.
That bank that we were talking about from Germany,
Douche Bank,
yeah,
or Deutsche.
Yeah,
their former chairman and supervisor of the board was there.
Vice for CEOs there. One U.S. senator is there.
Only one?
One.
That's crazy.
Well, yeah, I do. Kristen Sinema. She's a senator in Arizona.
She was getting a lot of media coverage here in the past year because she's a Democrat, right?
Yeah, Sinema.
Yeah, because she was like going against the Democrats.
Against the mask mandates. Yeah. Yep. I think.
Why were they meeting there? Just to talk with?
So it's
Joe?
It's an informal. No, Joe Biden wasn't there. It's an informal meeting of global elite, the financial leaders of the world, the Senate, and people in political power. I don't think so. And they just come up with plans on how to improve the global economy. And essentially, the goal of it is to make a new world economy. David Rockefeller writes about them at length in his book, his autobiography, basically saying that it's a group of internationalists that are working to create a new world order. Says it in his book. That's his autobiography.
Did you know that Rockefeller? Did you know that this was the 68th meeting?
Yeah. This was made in 1954 by the Dutch royals. But I think
send us money in the Cash App. We're trying to go to the 70th one.
It's
going to be sick.
Alex Jones was there a while ago, like years ago.
What?
Yeah,
okay.
He didn't attend it.
Oh, okay.
He was reporting on it.
Oh,
yeah. So before he was like in the meetings.
They have some key topics that they were talking about there. You want to hear like the top three? You want to hear top three?
Yeah. What did they eat? Does it say what they ate?
No,
they probably have.
But they want you to eat insects.
So geopolitical realignments,
globalization,
NATO challenges.
So they're concerned. So they're on NATO's side, obviously.
Yes,
well, the third one is China.
They're globalists.
Were any of the people Asian in there? Did you look at the names? And
I can't tell by the names.
I think they're in Hong Kong. They're something to do with Hong Kong. The Hong Kong government, I think. Somebody was there. Yeah, they're globalists, man. They want to do away with the nation state. That's why, like George Soros and, George Soros specifically said that Russia and China are a great threat to open societies. They're more so a closed society. And what that basically means is that Russia and China are against the globalist agenda, and Russia and China want to remain sovereign nations. They are for sovereignty in nationalities.
Well, they would people who would argue against that and say, "Well, they invaded Ukraine. How are they for sovereignty?"
Because Ukraine belongs to Russia.
So
it's like Taiwan belongs to China.
So I'm looking at what they
Puerto
do.
Rico belongs to us.
What they do in their meetings, but they say that they take time to listen to what they want to talk about. Mm-hmm. They reflect and gather insights, and there is no detailed agenda, and there are no resolutions proposed.
Yeah, because they're informal meetings, and they have their own groups inside of the bigger groups. They have smaller fractions. Like there's a big group of people. They all get together. They all listen to people talk. They're going to publicize those speeches, but nobody's going to publicize the meetings that take place behind closed doors because there's small groups of people in those in that big group that get together in their industries, come up with plans, conspiracies, etc. This is all very open and available knowledge.
So they do this every year, though. Like this isn't. It has nothing to do with what's going on in the world right now.
No, they've been doing this since 1954. There was a 2-year gap during the pandemic. Though. You were going to say something.
No, I forget.
Yeah.
Oh, now I remember. So what you're saying here is that these guys are the ones that are in charge of the New World Order?
No, I don't make that argument. Other people say that they're the shadow government that kind of control a lot of what is going on with the global governance. I think that they're more so like middle management, upper middle management. I don't think they're controlling a whole lot. Because I think to get to the top of the pyramid, you have to go spiritual. Because it doesn't make sense that all of this is for financial gain and power. It doesn't make sense. There's a spiritual element to it. You want to get into that conversation, we can get into that conversation. But I ultimately think whatever you want to call this entity, the devil, Satan, whatever you want to call him, I call him that because I like the Christian theology, and so I like the name for the devil through Christianity. But you can call him whatever the hell you want to call him. The evil one. He's the one that's running all the shows. I think a lot of these people are doing the deeds of demons. Now, it may sound insane, but you can do the deeds of demons as well. We all have our own personal demons. And if you believe evil exists, who's the leader of evil? Right? Everybody knows who the leader of evil is. So it's just going against good, going against the beautiful, going against what's true. That's what they do. And so I think it's a spiritual battle. So yeah, some of it's financial, some of it's power, but it doesn't answer why they're doing it. So they're just doing it to have endless money.
Well, they've been doing these meetings for 68 meetings, so like what, 70 years almost. And how's the economy doing? What are they doing at these meetings? Nothing seems to.
Well, it's getting better for them.
Richer. Oh, so they're not. So that's what it is. They're focused on their little group to become stronger. I thought.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. But then there's also a spiritual element to it as well, which would be the answer to a lot of the holes in somebody just saying it's all for money, it's all for power.
And you're not talking as the devil in the literal sense. You're talking
I
as
think
the
that there
devil
is
in the spiritual sense.
both.
That he's making people.
No, I think that literally there is a devil, and I think that metaphorically you can say that as well, but definitely literally. I'm talking in a literal sense that yes, a literal devil is controlling the show.
And who's that?
The devil.
Okay.
Satan.
Oh, so you think the devil's an actual physical thing? Or like an actual physical
I don't
being?
know if
It's not just
physical.
like a mindset?
I don't know if it's physical,
Oh,
but it's definitely a real thing.
oh, okay. So it could be just like.
I don't know what the devil looks like, but it's definitely real.
You want to find out?
and that's definitely running the show, man. Definitely running the show. I mean, if you believe in good, then you would have to believe in evil.
Yeah.
I mean, if you believe in God, there has to be something to contrast that.
Yin and a yang.
Yeah, but so I mean a literal devil. I don't know what the fuck he looks like though. I doubt that he has.
Well, you don't even know if it's a physical thing. It could just be like just like somebody's actions could.
Just like I don't know
Just be a thought.
I don't know. I don't know that God's a physical thing either, but I believe that there's a literal God.
We're going to be starting every show with a Bible passage.
Well, what we'll do is James will read out of the Book of Mormons.
I
want to
do the
Quran.
Yeah, the Quran. I choose the Quran.
And I will read out of the Orthodox Bible.
I'm going to switch between the Quran and the Torah back and forth.
There we go. No, not the Torah. Read the.
Well, just to get it on the record, I'm not reading this.
You are now.
No,
you're joining our cult. And so are you.
This is not a cult.
Are you spiritual, not religious?
I don't even know. I believe that there are. How can I say? I believe that your spirit is energy in your body, and once you pass, as long as your spirit, your energy is strong enough, then your energy won't just go away.
What makes your energy strong enough?
Just you as a person, your will, your drive.
So if you have a strong will and strong drive to do bad, your energy will continue.
Yeah. That's where you get your demons and stuff like that.
Okay.
And then you get your angels from people who.
And where does your energy go? Where do you believe your energy goes?
I believe it stays around. You've ever seen orbs and stuff in videos?
Yeah, I have. I don't know if I believe in that though, because there's a lot of explanations for them. But anyway,
yeah, opinions. But that's kind of the way I'm thinking about it.
Okay. So they're just floating around orbs, or
no.
I'm just trying to understand. I'm sure people are going to enjoy your.
Yeah, it's just it's a weird thing. I mean,
I've seen
for sure.
Too. We have a camera in my kid's room, and sometimes when he's sleeping, there's like orbs. Especially like sometimes when he would cry, when he was real young in his crib and he was crying, there'd be like more orbs. Shit was weird. My girl would always be trying to show me. I'm like, I don't know.
No, it's not like they're just whenever you pass it, you're just floating around. I mean, kind of like with Christianity, you're looking after your loved ones. And
I don't believe that.
Like that.
Yeah, I don't believe that in Christianity. I think that there's a different. I think Christianity is very skewed. But anyway, so you believe that people have energy, and energy can't be created or destroyed. It exists forever. But if your will or drive isn't strong enough, your energy goes away.
Like a less of a vibration.
Yeah, you're not as predominant.
Like if you're just sitting on the couch eating potato chips, watching like South Park all day,
Yeah.
you have low energy.
Where does this energy come? Like, where does it originate from? Who determines where it goes?
I don't know. Never really thought into it that deep. Yeah, I mean, your body, your mind is energy.
Where does it come from?
I think we all have the same amount of energy, and like some people choose to utilize.
But that's
it
where
in
the
certain
drive.
ways,
That's
you know?
where the drive and your motivation.
So, do you get a higher vibration if you do evil things, or do you get a lower vibration if you do evil things?
You would get a higher one.
I think it's a yin and a yang. You know, it's just you can choose to use your
So you
divert
would
your
get
energy into
a
different.
higher vibration if you do good things too.
Yeah.
Then what's the incentive of doing a good thing over a bad thing?
You know, you see what the outcome is, and if it makes you happy or not, you know.
But if it doesn't matter if
Yeah, I mean, if you're evil and bad
then-
things make you happy, I mean, I don't know. Who's your water?
Mine. Even
I'm not trying to get any.
Get the monkeypox.
I don't want your vibrations on my lips.
you get them on your leg all the time.
Vibration.
Yeah,
I don't know.
We'll
Really?
talk about our spiritual self more after the show.
Yeah, I mean, unless you guys are uncomfortable sharing it live, I have no issue going into the whole spiritual side.
No, I'm not.
I believe it's kind of pointless. I mean, it's just like the imponderables. None of us really
I
know
think
what
it is the
truth
point
is.
of
Right?
life, though. I think there is a way to know the truth. There has to be.
Yeah.
There has to.
So you know the
100%.
truth?
No,
Or are you still trying to figure it out?
no. I mean, I know things that are true. Yeah, I do know there's a lot of truth in the world, and I can point out to those truths.
But the ultimate truth, you still.
Yeah, the
obviously
ultimate truth
don't.
is that there's a God and that we're supposed to serve God. And I think that's very provable.
But you won't know until after you pass.
I think it's very provable that there's a God. Logically, you can come to that conclusion soundly.
But the energy and all that shit is what I'm saying. Like, you don't really.
Energy
Obviously,
is real.
you don't know that. You don't. You know how we were talking about, like, whenever you die, what do you think happened? You know, did we just become trees and shit?
I don't know what happens when we die, but I know it's objectively true that there is a God, that there is a creator, and that we are supposed to serve the creator. That is something that's very provable.
Is that creator?
Logically.
Do you believe in aliens?
Depends on what you mean by aliens. So I don't believe in outer space to begin with. I don't believe that other entities from outer, because I don't believe that we live in a universe the way that's described to us in the mainstream. I believe that the Earth is an infinite plane of existence. So I'm not saying it's flat. I'm not even saying I know what it is, because I don't really know what it is. But I do know it's provable. It's not a globe. Factually, mathematically, provable. It's not. We're not fucking floating around in nothingness. Doesn't make any logical sense to begin with. And it's also very provable through the scientific method.
How often do you look at the stars? Just curious. Like, do you ever?
I like looking at the stars. There's people who theorize that they're spirits. In the Bible, it also says that angels are stars.
I mean, it's
could
only
just be
human to
different
do it. I
lights.
mean, you look at the stars sometimes.
And then when you also
and
look
you're
at
like,
the sky,
"How is that?"
what looks like it's moving? Us or up there? Up there looks like it's moving. We don't ever feel like we're moving. But anyway, so I get what you're saying. I do look at the stars. I like looking at the moon. Don't know what the fuck the moon is. Don't know what the fuck the sun is. I don't know. There's people that see two suns. Swear to God, you can look it up. Pro 777. He has
Some
videos
people-
on this. Well, you can. Anybody can see it actually, but there are two suns.
If you stare at the sun and blink enough, you'll see a whole bunch of them.
Now, I've seen videos about the two suns.
So yeah, I don't believe in aliens and like they're coming from outer space. I believe in extraterrestrials, which basically just means that there's people on extra territory, and I believe that there's an infinite amount of territories potentially on Earth.
Do they
So,
look like
yes.
us?
I don't know. They could be more advanced than us.
Dude,
Or is God the one that created them also?
Yeah, he would have to be.
maybe there's going to be like an alien false flag that comes and saves Ukraine from Russia.
Well, there is a conspiracy called Project Bluebeam where they're going to fake an alien invasion
To try and
using,
create
holograms.
peace in the world.
Yeah, in one world order. Yeah. So yes, I do believe in extraterrestrials. I don't believe in aliens, and they're coming from outer space in another planet. So yeah, yes, God did create them. He would have to create them. There has to be a creator logically. There has to be a point. There has to be a starting point. Logically, there has to be.
It's interesting how whenever people talk about creation and what happens after death, it always ties back into aliens somehow. Like, do you think that
Because
ancient civilizations did the same?
Well, yeah.
Probably.
What about the ancient civilizations that have hieroglyphics of weird-looking creatures and
Yeah.
and discs flying in the air and
Yeah, I mean, Nazis made the UFO, so I think that we had a lot of advanced technology back in the day.
no, but it goes back further than
No,
that. It
I'm
goes
tell-
back to the
no, I
ancient
know.
Egyptians.
That's what I'm
and-
With
saying.
the electricity and the
Yeah,
gold.
I think allegedly the Romans could communicate through the pyramids. I think that we had a lot of technology that we don't really understand or know about, and I think that humans made them. I think that creatures that were created by God made them. So yeah, there could have been UFOs back in ancient Egypt. Nobody's denying that. I can't deny that. And as far as other images, well, then what about all the ancient images that you'll find on Earth? All of them are flat. All of them are flat. We want to talk about ancient societies, ancient civilizations. Every single one depicts a flat Earth.
And the United
Every
Nations
fucking
symbol
one.
is a flat Earth.
United Nations, NATO, all the global elite, their symbols are a flat Earth. They don't even have Antarctica on the map.
Well, Antarctica is the circle.
Ice wall.
Around, ice wall.
Yeah. So
Maybe we'll have to talk about flat Earth again a little bit more next.
I don't know
episode.
enough about it to really debate somebody.
Maybe we
who's
could get
really,
that guy
really
on
smart on that particular subject.
David Weiss.
Yeah,
Try and get
yeah,
him on, man.
yeah, we could. So there's, yeah, I think that, yeah, man, there's definitely a creator. Earth isn't a globe. Spirits are real. Energy is real. That's all very provable. You don't need to be like some crazy. Like, I throw this. That's energy. I just witnessed energy in real time. I'm talking. I'm witnessing energy in real time.
I'm about to fart. You guys are going to smell energy here soon.
Jesus Christ.
Take your atomic ass to the bathroom.
All right. Well, I think that's it for today. We've been at it for dang almost 2 hours here.
Hour and 36 minutes. Yeah, guys. So be sure to hit the like button, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. We will be back here. Well, I'll be doing a live stream tomorrow, 10 p.m., the Honest Hour. So be sure to check that out Monday through Friday. And then we're working on getting a set schedule for the sports show. Nick and
It's
James
my fault
will
because
be
I
the host.
Sometimes I work on Saturdays. So what we might end up doing is, like the days that the rare Saturdays that I have to work, we might just do it at a different time or a different day. But like normally, I think we're just going to stick to the Saturday at 9. But the days that I work, we're going to try and figure out.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. It's not a big deal. So, yeah, but James, Mick, they'll be the hosts for MOT Sports. And yeah, guys, so if you like this, please share it with your family, share it with your friends, like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff to all platforms. Much love. Peace out.
Stay ahead of the curve.
Peace, my fam.